Dan here, Daily Speed Shop. 67 Camaro. This thing's fixing to get a lot worse before it gets any better. And I know it probably looks pretty good right now, but it's a facade. Car's rotten. But nothing, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 days where they're cutting and welding and grinding and screwing around can't fix, right? So this car we've been on and off a little bit, and honestly I've been waiting to get to it because I've been waiting on a few specific parts. The last video we did the whole front end there, so if you missed that, we took it apart, cleaned the whole, this is the original subframe, cleaned it, painted it, disc brake conversion, tubular control arms, the whole deal. I do have steering for it, but it's currently not on, and well, a little bit funny, I probably did paint the firewall in that video, I just haven't done it yet. Anyway, this car, when I got it, came with a piggy pile full of sheet metal, some of which I still don't even have here, because the truck was full when I was bringing all this home, or when I was getting dropped off, I should say, well over a year ago. So we have new fenders, they're there and there. It does have a new cowl hood, but again, that's not here. Header panel across there. It's got new doors. It came with quarter panel skins. I purchased a new deck lid. On order still is a trunk floor, just the center section. Honestly, it's not too bad. And I have a couple of trunk dropouts. And inside the car are wheel tubs, inner and outer tubs. And this is what I was waiting on, which I just got yesterday, actually, or the day before maybe. And of course I stored it outside after opening it. Full GM replacement style quarter panels. So I'll pull these out of the box and show you, maybe I'll do that. We'll get set up a little bit, I'll show you exactly what all this stuff is, and the game plan for probably the next few videos. I don't think they're gonna be, it might be like a 3-part series, just simply because of how much work has to happen, and it's not gonna be bite-sized pieces, it's gonna be apart, and then back together, and it's well, a little nerve-wracking, but whatever, we'll cut it, we'll weld it, we'll fix it. Okay, so, I got a luxurious hair in my mouth. Quarter panels, right, that's what I was doing. Danny's holding the camera there, I needed her. So we picked up these quarter panels. Ultimately, the decision was pretty easy to make because of this door, actually. So in this side, it's rotten. The door jam's rotten all the way down. There's nothing there. And when I priced out what a door jam was gonna cost, it was like a couple $100 for just that little piece of metal. I was like, well, that's absolutely ridiculous. And look how good that closes. And ultimately, the new corner panel comes with it, and they were $400. That's like Canadian. So I don't even know, like Freedom units, it's $300. And if you're in California, there's no shipping. So we kept her in cold storage. You know, you gotta freeze these.
Snow all over it.
I left it outside.
Oh gosh.
Now, a rule of thumb I'm gonna break here, I typically always start on the passenger side because you don't have to see the passenger side every time you get in the car. But the passenger side is pretty rotten on this, and the driver's side's not so bad, so I think I'll learn more on the driver's side. So you can see how much more this panel is gonna replace than just the skin. So we have this whole section here go up into the sail panel. It'll wrap right around into the door jamb. Life will be easier, and you can see it actually goes right into the trunk. So all that is going to be pretty handy. Let's put this somewhere where I won't step on it. Because, not so much on this side, we could probably get away with just the skin, but why would you? On this side, we have the door jamb, which is rotten. This whole section in here is all full of filler. It's had something fall on it, so all that'll be replaced. Now, the way this panel is going to go on is it'll go here to here, so we'll join it in those sections under the deck lid. It butts up here because there is a body line, so we'll have to weld that, and then it wraps in under the window, which I think I'm going to pull the glass. We'll have one seam across here, which from factory it's literally lapped, and then they just let it. It'll fit in this drip rail. You actually it's just fit in there, and then they put that like sealing caulking in it. It'll wrap around. This has got some inner structure, inner structure down there. We'll weld it down low, down to the trunk drop. And then I guess, oh yeah, got a seam here. It all just will kind of fit in and do its thing. So it will save me hours and hours and hours of body work. If you put a skin on, you're gonna end up cutting it somewhere like that. Weld it, put a bunch of heat in the panel, then you gotta float that all with filler. This will not do that, so that's a big part. Now, that's the nice piece on the outside you're gonna see. And if that's all we had to do, not too bad for a video. The problem we have in here, so the trunk floor is rotten, but again, that's coming with some trunk supports. And then we have our wheel tubs. Now, just on the edge of the wheel tubs, gotta get by here, babe. It's a little rotten, so right around there, which is fixable. But instead of doing a trunk floor and whatnot, I thought it would be more economical to do wheel tubs, wider wheel tubs. So I believe these are, I don't know, 1.5 inch, 2 inch, something like that, wider for inner tub. So we'll end up cutting that section of floor out and putting that in. And then I got outer tubs. I don't know what's left and what's right, but that will, oh, left hand, there we go. That flat bit joins that flat bit. And then this section right here, it's got this funny curve to it. You see it matches the quarter. It'll actually go right in the quarter panel. So those two panels eliminate all the rust. The issue is we're gonna end up cutting all of that out, which is a lot. The wheel tub actually supports the trunk hinge and all sorts of stuff. So it's gonna get real floppy back there. Everything has to fit, inner tub, outer tub, and then the quarter all have to sandwich together. So if you have the inner tub, let's say 1/2 inch too far out, and you keep building on that, the quarter panel won't fit, it'll stick out. If you have it too far in, obviously it won't touch. So you gotta be careful of those things. How the quarter panel fits, again, it has to all fit flat. We have it in line with our door. There's gonna be a lot of screwing around. Now, I've never done a full quarter like that. Well, I guess I did on the Nomad, but it was a little bit different. I've only ever bought the skins because I can only ever afford the skins. Because on Tri-5 Chevys, a full quarter is like $1,200 or $1,300, which is just ridiculous. So yeah, anyways, I ran that bust, a local guy, Randy, helped me out big time. Scott, Cold War Motors, Carburetor Can, they've all done a bunch of these things, so I ran it all by them, and I'll do whatever I want now, right? So that's the plan. We're gonna start stripping this car down, deck lid's coming off, quarter panel's coming off, and it'll be a lot of ugly cutting and whatnot in the side here. But I'm hoping, with everything removed, if I put this thing on jack stands, I should have a lot of room in there. So that was a lot of talking, I realized, but that is the game plan. And I think today we'll just start slashing and cutting, and maybe if we can start tacking some things in, we'd be pretty far ahead of the game, but it'll be a busy few videos, that's for sure. Okay, so this here's what we're working with. Honestly, if it wasn't for the trunk section being kind of rusty, it wouldn't be too bad just to put a set of outer wheel tubs on, a trunk drop, and then put a quarter panel on there and be done with it. It's got a little bit of rust on the bottom, but not too bad. We might just splice a piece in because, well, we're in there anyways. Yeah, I pulled out, well, I took the trim off the back glass. Again, that quarter panel, it actually goes over and then fits in this channel, and so the glass sits on it. And typically these rot out down at the bottom here. It's got one little hole there. Otherwise, it's actually in really nice shape. And what happens is, I mean, I've got some blow the junk out, but stuff just packs in there, it sits in there, gets wet, and it rots out. So this panel is very common to be rotten, especially in this area, if it's a vinyl top car especially. So I think we'll probably pull the glass anyways. This glass is pretty scratched up. I really do like new glass in cars. I'm fighting out this one. I don't know if it's a keeper or not. It's a cool car, but how much money you want to spend. That being said, stuff's kind of cheap. We're into it for a windshield, so maybe we'll put a back glass in, but if I can take it out without smashing it, bonus. We have this little piece here, and the idea is you turn it in, or you put it in, you give it a 90, and then you kind of cut this rubber or whatever, urethane out of it if we can, and then we'll peel the glass out. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do now. If I can get that out, then we can kind of test fit that panel to make sure it's about in the right spot, which I'm pretty confident with, and then just start blindly cutting until we're happy. I do got to do something with the trunk supports. As you can see, it does go right there, so we got to get that cut out. And we have to kind of do some measuring to see how much wider these wheel tubs are than the ones we have to decide how much we're going to go in and around. Now these are obviously miscellaneous ones. If you spend big bucks, get some like the Troy Speed ones. There's really good instructions, but when you're cheap, you learn the hard way. But I'm pretty confident it should be pretty good. Like I said, as long as we're fitting there, everything's going good on the quarter panels. The inside can be a little ugly, but we'll take our time, we'll figure it out. By the other side, we'll really have it figured out. Okay, well there we have it. So glass is always a little bit of heat. I bet if you had like nice 80-degree weather and you put it outside in the sun, it'd be much easier. It was just hard, so a little heat, pull it right out. And again, scrape it all up. There's, she's solid, just that one little spot right there. So we'll fix that up, but all these little clips are decent. Usually they all rot out. So they have a little tang they kind of fit on, and then typically you kind of fill them full of urethane, and then the glass holds it in, and they're little snap kind of, friction fit deals for the trim. So yeah, look at that. We have all sorts of daylight in there now. So you can see right there, the crunchies we have to get rid of where the shock is, and all that all has to come out. It's too bad, but such is life. So I don't know what I'll do next. I think I might just go ahead, hang the quarter panel on, see what it looks like. And then ultimately, I think we're just gonna start kind of blindly cutting. As long as I stay on this side of the line, and I think if I kind of maybe cut around here, down here, we'll keep a lot of structure in the car, kind of cut up into here and down there. That'll give me the most amount of access into the ugliness as possible. Worst case, we can also cut this out if we want. This package tray, cut it out and weld it back in. I'd rather not. It's already had some custom 6x9s grafted in with an axe. And yeah, we gotta do some measuring and figure out how much wider we gotta go, which should be pretty cool. I gotta say, the mini tubs, I did them on that 57. It was a lot of work. It's kind of ugly work, but it's so freaking cool. And you put so much tire in there. We also decide here, I hope it doesn't go past the frame rail. Some of them, you have to notch the frame rail. I hope these just go to the frame rail. And we'll kind of keep carrying on from there. I also bought some stuff for replacement pieces underneath, leaf spring hangers, which will come down the road. And locally where I got all the stuff, Walker Auto, they actually have frame rails in stock. So old Reg there has my number. So if it all goes to crap, I may end up buying those. They weren't even that much money. I forget what he said. They were a couple $100, $150 each, something like that. And I don't know if I'll do the whole thing, but maybe just the back and the front, kind of graft them in or whatever we have to. Make a pretty nice car out of this thing. This is the ugly bit. The rest I'll just bolt on. So yeah, let's start fitting her together, see what we end up with. Okay, so now we kind of know what we're dealing with as far as I'm concerned. Now there are some concerns here of fire and all that. We have some miscellaneous. We have to take an inner door panel off there, or whatever you want to call it, trim panel. You know, so I was talking to Scott, Clone Roller Scott, and he gave me some really good advice. He's like, well, what's your goal with this thing? You know, ask him how I should do this. I mean, there's 50 different ways to do this quarter panel, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to do it a different way than I would have, and that's fine. And he says, so what's your plan? What's your goal? I said, to do burnouts. And he goes, okay, so you're looking for the fastest or shortest road from here to burnouts? I said, yeah, well, do whatever you think is best. Obviously, drilling out spot welds and screwing around is the proper way, or the body shop way, or whatever way you want to call it. A little bit of structure here, eh? Kind of cut through that. And you know, for me, spot weld drilling, I'm not against it. I've done it a few times. I find it very time consuming, and ultimately I honestly think it really beats up the panel that you're trying to, you know, take off if you ever want to reuse it. So we got to figure a way to take this off somewhat decent, because this back structure stays on and that's what's going to join it. So we got to look and see how that all goes together. In here we got a joint there, here, and here, and I think what I'm going to do is just kind of blaze all this out and leave some of the metal on the panel just to start. We'll grind that off after. The trunk support, I think I'm just going to literally slice it right across, or I guess I could get in here. I'm not really too sure what the best way of doing that is. Get that all out. Before I do that, I am going to run a bar side to side just to kind of hold it. I'm going to do one side at a time. So if we get this side all tacked together, and then a bar of that, and then the other side, it'll maintain its strength, just so it doesn't go all floppy and whatnot. So that'll be good. I do a little bit of measuring on this. These, I read on them, they're 6 inches wide, supposedly. And I believe I did some measuring. This is the joint right there, was 3 inches. And then if you go from the edge of the wheel tub to this kind of little frame piece where the shock is 3 inches, which would make sense that those wheel tubs, you'd cut it all out and then you'd be right up against the frame, which that just makes sense to me, right? Why would you, if you're gonna be doing like a mini tub, you wanna just make sure the tub goes right to the frame. You start going wider than that, well, now you're into the frame and you're almost back having the car. Like you're moving the frame rails, you're doing all sorts of goofiness. So if you do that, and if you move the leaf springs, you're not gonna move the leaf springs, you fit a big honking tire in here. We're just doing it so you can fit a big tire in. We're gonna be limited by the leaf spring, but just to kind of cheat the rust repair, because it'll all be up in here and whatnot, where the shock mount is. We're gonna have to change where the shocks are. I think what I'll probably do down the road, well, put a bar across the frame rails and just do like an angle shock deal. Yeah, so I think we're gonna go ahead and just start cutting this up. I'm gonna take that inside panel out and we'll come back and just start blindly cutting all this garbage out to see what we end up with, and start kind of test fitting in some new panels. Be cool if we could get an inside panel or two tacked in today. We'll see. Oh, and look at the amount of filler back here. Brazing. That's all body filler. So you can see kind of that ugly repair. We're gonna end up doing this panel as well, but that'll be quarter panel. Get the wheel tub dialed. Okay, so I made a fair amount of progress in eliminating some bits and pieces, but I think we should be pretty good. So I'm gonna leave it for today, kind of think about it overnight, maybe do a little Googling. But the outer wheelhouse isn't gonna change. So from a wheelhouse to quarter panel should be very simple. Both panels sandwiched together on the inside of this bracing. And this isn't changing. So as long as this remains where it should be, which is going to, and we accomplish that, everything else will fit. All the cutting is going to be done obviously on the inside. And I'm pretty sure, that's not a tape measure. Well, I know it wasn't a tape measure, I wasn't sure, pretty sure. That's like just under, 2 3/4 inches. Was that not good for you? So I'm thinking if I cut it right around that area, I should be able to get the tub to fit and carry on from there. But that's a tomorrow job. A lot more cutting and grinding to be done. All this has to come out, which is going to be ugly. This is just real quick and dirty. You kind of see what we're looking at. But if we can accomplish that, I think the wheel tub can, like I said, go in. They're only just spot welded together, so it should be pretty friggin' simple. And then I'm thinking I might panel bond some of that on there. So I might go down to the old auto body store and see what I can find for panel bond. I know it's not cheap, but if we're going to be doing it all in hidden areas, we can keep a bunch of heat out of the car, keep it from warping itself. Those are my thoughts anyways. We'll be back at it tomorrow and get these tubs in there. Scene. Well, it's the next day, and I did do a little bit of thinking on this. Not much. And we got to kind of figure out the way it's going to go in. So I had kind of butchered it all out. I have to clean up all this old wheel tub and everything on the back side of all this structure and whatnot. That all has to kind of come off some way, somehow. So I got a lot of grinding ahead of me. And realistically, we have to take meat off on the inside so that this lip is on the other side of all this kind of bracing and whatnot. So it's gonna be a lot of back and forth. I'm hoping we're gonna notch the frame rail. Honestly, if we do, I think I might just narrow up the wheel tubs a little. We'll just kind of see. I don't want to do that. So we're not trying to run the absolute biggest tire here. We were trying to make it easier for myself. So plating a frame rail doesn't seem like what I really want to do. But we'll just see. It seems like it should fit no problem at the front here, because we got lots of room by the frame. But then here, like that's, a hand width. If that's what has to happen, we'll be into the frame rail for sure. At the back, we won't. It should be same thing as well, not too bad. So we'll have to do a little bit of playing. We may end up splicing and cutting and doing whatever, but we'll get in there and ultimately, I guess, see where we end up. And we have to cut the frame rail. I guess that's what we're doing. I'd rather not, but let's set the camera up and do a whole bunch of cutting, grinding. Well, not really any welding, cutting and grinding for the time being, and see if we can get this panel fit in, and then that panel. If we can get those kind of in there where we're happy with them, then we can start the remainder of the cut here. I was thinking about gluing this all together, but I didn't get any. So if we're welding stuff on tonight, we have the electric glue gun over there with a full tank of welding gas, so it'll be fine. Well, I ended up doing kind of endless cutting. And the metal gets kind of one of those things where you're a little roached, but you want to make sure you get into the clean metal, right? So we got a few gaps, and I think what the problem is, my problem is, this kit, I believe, needs to have this back section of the frame rail recessed in, and that is something I am just not interested in doing whatsoever. This is not going to be a drag car we're trying to put the biggest tire in. we're trying to make it easier for rust repair. That's why I got this stuff. And I mean, the wheel tubs, the inner tubs, they were junk anyways. This is the, it had all this kind of schmuck all over it and stuff. So both tubs had to be done anyways. Now what I did, so the frame rail goes up and around. It's got 2 ears on it. I trimmed down the ear as much as I could to get everything as far over as possible. And honestly, it fits pretty good. Everything is on this side of that little brace. I got to grind down in there still, but we pretty much are okay. I took this back brace out just to get things in. But as you can see, we're kind of the whole way around. We have a little bit of floor repair to do inside the car, just on the side there. It was just, you know, I just cut it out so it was, wherever the rust was, I cut out. And, you know, we weren't going to try and join it. Now what I think is happening, the wheel tubs have a very strange shape to them, and it's hard on the eyeball. But if you look at this side, I don't know if it'll show or not. Where's my light? It's got a goofy, they kind of kick up and go down that way, which is what we have here. You can see it looks like it's almost at an angle, which we do have there. Quite similar. But I think what's happening is right down in this bottom section, it's kind of hitting and it's causing it to have more of a kick out than we need. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to trim a little section like that and have the wheel tub sit on top of or right up against the floor, instead of having like a little apron going down, which really isn't terrible. I think it'll be okay. The reason I think all that, this is the outer wheel tub, and this is supposed to be in line. Well, this is supposed to attach to that. So we're out that couple of inches. I think it's just a tweak, because obviously everything fits up there-ish. Nothing's perfect, don't get me wrong, but we're in the ballpark. So if I can trim the inner tub, kick that over, this will all just kind of fit. Now, that being said, the next step is going to be, before we're just kind of blindly cutting, is making sure the quarter panel is going to be happy. Now this one's not bad. It sticks out a little. Now I still have a lot of cutting to do and messing around and grinding. But this quarter now, line it up with the tub. Gotta go ahead just a hair. So I'm holding everything together by the wheel tub, and we're doing not bad. Everything kind of lines up. It obviously has to go in and under, but there's rust there. At the back, kind of same deal. It's got to go in a little, but I think if we can move that wheel tub just whoop, whoop, that's the technical term, we'll be fine. So I think the next step is more cutting. So I might just put some vice grips on that just to kind of hold it where I think it's going to be happier, where I think it's the best. We'll have to do door jamb, the back section, get all that crap out, the drop down, trunk drop down, and then the sail pan. This car's got to come apart a lot more yet, which is kind of scary. But if we do that and we vice grip that in there, and we can get the quarter panel kind of fit where we're happy, then it's time to start welding it all together. So a little more dissection. Wow, this is quite a big job. This has really come apart in a hurry. So we went back and forth a bazillion times, just kind of eyeballing how much to cut based on what the quarter panel is. Now the quarter panel's on, the batteries are all dead. We gotta charge a little bit and I need something to eat. But realistically, up here we're not too bad. I'll probably end up just trimming this and welding it, you know, getting all the solder out. This will need a little bit of trimming to fit. I still have too much of the old panels. We'll cut some of that down so it fits nicely. Up in here, it'll just, you know, jam itself in and we'll, you know, a couple of plug welds maybe. Around here, it actually fits really nice. If I kind of clamp it, it will go in and it'll fix whatever rust we have with the door jamb. So that's perfect. We got to line up this little hole with the backside. So we got to make sure we get that taken care of so the little threaded piece will go. Now the issue we're running into is back here. You can see this gap. We are butted up against the wheel tub as expected. So it cannot go any further over. It looks like it's just a giant wheel tub there, eh? So to fix that, I'm just gonna go ahead and slice the wheel tub a little bit, slice it over and have it sit on top. So not as intended, but realistically this is, it's like a mix of just replacing the wheel tub with a factory one, because we're gonna get more than the factory is gonna give us by probably, you know, an inch or two, but not the full like 3 or 4 inches this tub is able to accomplish. But that's why it's so important not to just start welding pieces in, even though it kind of fit. You run into this situation, have a real headache on your hand. So I have a lot of screwing around to do. I'm just gonna go ahead and tuck this in near, plug weld in there. Maybe actually from underneath I can probably do, and that'll be good. This will, you know, fit in this area. The stamping's a little weak here. We got to clean that up and do whatever, but no one's ever going to see that, right? I mean, it's the inside of the trunk lid. This looks like it'll go pretty good and butt up. Probably have to cut some of this out. I don't know what we're going to do there. We'll have to make it fit and kind of weld it. There was some filler. It's actually a fair bit right here, unfortunately. Down here's not too bad, and up here wasn't too bad. So obviously something had happened. And there's a flange on each side. So we'll see if we can plug weld all that together as much as we possibly can. So there's a lot of screwing around to do there. I understand now why the gluing would be kind of nice, for sure, but we're not going to do that. The idea of being able to clamp it and tack it and all that kind of appeals to me. But yeah, I didn't take the trunk drop out yet off, so I have to do that, because the trunk jump will go onto the quarter. But realistically, I think I want to leave that on there until we get the wheel tubs fit, because that'll be a good marker. And we've made a fair bit of progress. It's been a lot of grinding, a lot of cutting, a couple hours worth anyways, which isn't terrible. But just think now, this will all be filled. We'll join it in here. This will be plug welded across the side. We'll join in here. I'll weld and grind. We'll obviously join it in there and there. And then this section here, there's a few, we got to drill some holes in and plug weld it to the structure. And then along the side down there, the only bodywork we needed is this little section. And then, I don't know what I'm going to do with the sill. There's supposed to be a body line, but I think the way the car's going together, I won't be able to weld this. We may have to kind of weld and then run a grind line through it to give it like a simulated body line. But yeah, we're making a lot of progress. I don't want to jinx it, but I think later on tonight we should be able to have the quarter and all that kind of dealt with. We'll have some interior work to deal with for sure, matching the floors up and a little bit of structure issue on the side pan, but very minor and really doesn't have to look super nice. I mean, we'll weld a little panel in there, seam seal it and undercoat it, and then it'll be covered by panels and carpet, so who really cares what that's all going to look like? But from the outside, we're making progress. So, break time, be back in a little bit. Okay, so I've got the panel fitting pretty good, but a lot of just on off, on off, on off, on off, trying to make it fit better. And I'm going to carry on doing that. But I've got a few marks. I'm going to, take out some of this trunk drop. We're just going to lap it over, but that all has to be, ground down a little bit and then cleaned up. This section here, I just did some marks here so I can drill out the backside so I can plug weld it. Then we got to grind that down. And here I did a little mark. This is where this section of steel has to pivot over so it fits on in the window channel. So we got to kind of cut that, grind that all down, and yeah, I mean, it's fitting in the wheel tubs. I'm pretty happy with it. We got to do a little bit of cleaning up on the backside. The tubs are in and they're all clamped together, so these guys should be plug welded in. The trunk drop is in line, so that's pretty good. Oh, I'll show you here. I screwed up, so shocker, but anything can be fixed. The wheel tub itself, I took a little bit too much out. What I did is I actually ground the trunk down right to the stupid metal and everything. The flange, I cut that out, and I just welded it right to the trunk floor, seam welded it, so it's strong. Now what it needs is essentially the piece I cut out kind of just, put back in, or I don't know what we're going to do there, but there's lots of room in there now, and that can be done on the lift at some point, or I mean we could do it with the quarter off. Just a little bit of trimming to do in here on the bottom. I have to drill all here and then here to make sure that's all secure and there's like plug welded. And I have to make sure this little hole fits. I did drop that down in the last panel when it was all together, so I'll probably just sand that down. It won't be factory, but you know what, no one will notice. We'll have to do a little bit of fitting in here because that's where it was rusty, so we're not going to have quite as much we need. Got to put a patch panel in, but yeah, once that's clamped in, it should be pretty good. Trim out down here in the fold. And yeah, honestly, a pretty good fit. I'm pretty happy with it. We got a lot of room for a big tire in there. We could go just a little bit bigger. And you know what? If any time, if we want, simply trim that. We could trim out this frame rail and put a huge Horkin tire on it. Inside, like I said, I went a little big, but that's where there was rust, so we'll have to fill that in, which is pretty mellow. It's actually almost like a square cut wheel tub. So that's pretty good. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty happy. I think it's a lot of screwing around. I am glad I did this side first. I definitely feel like I'm learning a lot. Oh, I gotta drill all this out so I can plug weld that. Definitely learned a lot. And I think it'll transfer over to the other side very well, because that's how it's so rotten. It's definitely iffy. There's a little bit of inside structure we got to take care of, but on this one we're just going to do from the inside. There's no point screwing around with it, and that's that. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take this on and off 2 or 3 more times, make sure I'm happy with the fitment, and then if that's good, we'll come back when we weld in the wheel tub maybe, and then we'll get this tacked on. I don't think I'm going to just go hog wild on this. We'll just kind of get it multiple tacked on so it's on there, and then on the next video we can start on the other side just to make sure, in case I miss something. You can drill out 10 or 15 tack welds, but if it's seam welded and all that, it becomes quite ugly, and I don't want to do that. But looks the same as it did before, but it's gonna be a nice repair. So where we left it, we had just welded these tubs in, so they're in there El Permanente. I went around and just kind of cleaned everything up. I got the trunk drop off out, and I noticed just one little tiny hole in the frame rail at the very far back. So I don't know if now's the time to fix it or not. And this actually back panel looks like it's been kind of crunched and fixed up. So that might be coming out as well, but that's can kind of be done. I don't know if it's just down here is no bueno. So if we can change just that bottom piece versus the whole unit. Either way, it's the way it's going to be. I'm going to grind. I'm not going to put the trunk dropout in, so I'll still be able to get up in there with lots of tools. And again, I think I'm just going to kind of tack the quarter panel on. So if we have to take it right off, we can. I don't know what the plan is there. Like I said, there's some local frame rails I can get to put in, but they're so solid, just right at the very far back. And I do want to drop the front of the leaf spring and see up in that pocket as well, because that's really tend to rot. So we might just section one in or do whatever. But car's solid, it hasn't moved or twisted or anything. I think we're pretty much ready to put it in. I got all my holes drilled for where I'm going to kind of go. This is a bit of a funny one. I don't know how this would have been joined behind the trunk hinge. I've taken all that out. The hinge welded in. It's all sturdy there. I'll probably plug there and then like seam weld all in here, so this little section won't be welded, I can't imagine. Oh, you know what? Might be able to get underneath and just kind of on the edge. It won't be super critical. And then we got that all cleaned up and taken care of. Don't worry, I'm not going to paint this. You don't want any weld-through primer in there. Got this all cleaned up all around here, so we should be able to plug that in. This panel's been off 15 times, but it's all drilled out for the plug welds. I plug welded around the wheel arch, or drilled out for plug weld around the wheel arch. So now all I gotta do is just clean up the wheel well, the tub, the outer tub, and a little bit where the trunk drop down is, and it should be final fitment for this thing. So I'll do a little bit more cleaning and then bring it back when it's going on. Okay, we have some, I'm not gonna say fitment issues. Could be the panel, could be the car, could be me, but it's pretty dang on close. Now, the way I look at it, so at the front here, we're like right in line, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of what the other one looked like. Flush, that's pretty good. We got a decent little line here. I got to push this in with a screwdriver. I ended up cutting in here just so it would fall down. I actually got to pop that up a little, but that's decent. Where we run into an issue is right here. So this wants to kind of go down a little, but it's hitting something underneath, so I might have to kind of get in there. This, maybe it's not that bad. I feel like it might be scooched that way just a little bit. But we go around back here, and this is right aligned, no problem. But then down here, it seems like it's kind of pushed out. But that being said, this is clearly was full of filler and all sorts of ugliness. So I think what we have to do is put the deck lid on and test fit it before we go too hog wild. But regardless, everything kind of fits there. Oh, down here I might have a little bit of trim to do, but it seems pretty good. So that's that. I haven't test fit the door yet, but I assume that should fit okay. My little plug welds all line up with stuff, so we get lots of meat in there. The window gap should be good. I mean, really, I think we're in the ballpark. Down here has to get just kind of pushed over a little, but everything is pretty close. Enough that we can kind of tack it and see what we end up with. I cut out the trunk drop down, that's on the floor there, because the way these work is it actually is part of the trunk floor. So it's recessed, so that'll fit together. So I just gotta literally plug weld that in and be nothing to do. But yeah, I think that is the plan, to maybe do that, put a couple of plug welds around, just get it kind of set. We'll start working on the other side, and then we'll test fit the deck lid, because it might be one of those things where it's push here, push there, whatever. And like I said, if I have to take the quarter off to do the frame rail, not the end of the world, but we really have a fair bit of strength to it. Even just a few tack welds really make a big difference. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I might just ugly tack it on. It won't be in all the plug welded spots, because the plug welds are harder to get off once you get those in there. And this is like semi-permanent, right? So let's get the welder dialed up and we'll get this all together. But I'm like 85% happy with it, and honestly, it's probably gonna be fine. I don't know how exact these panels are in this car. Like I said, it's sure a little rough. It's clearly been hit in the back, but let's make it happen. I'm not gonna lie, this panel does not fit great. At the back here, we have a giant gap, but I mean, it's butted right up against that. It's butted right up against that. But what I did here is I put, this is the old panel, it'll lap over it and we have space. So that's strange. So then what I did is I just measured it real quick. And, you know, if you just go like a couple inches back, let's say. So that's like, I don't know, 2 7/8 to the peak there. If we go kind of the same idea, it's like 3 1/4. If we go at the front here, we're right on 4 inches. That's really closer. It looks like it fits better. Yeah, we're right on 4 inches. But then, I mean, you know, just kind of take some random spots here. Right at the very, what's the very end at? 2 3/4. It's probably close to 3 inches. So, there's not, I don't know what I can do here. Again, the trunk, so I put the trunk lid on, but it fits not bad there. Like it's a relatively straight go. Man, this thing is lumpy, I can feel it. So, up here fits pretty good. I mean, it's got a bit of a gap, but we can just weld in there, do whatever we gotta do. Honestly, it fits good there, but this, it like opens up. Like this didn't line up here to here. I'm like, oh, I was trying to get it to line up, but like, look, that is a nice gap. But it goes to hell here. Like this panel is not for me. So back here, I mean, what we can do is split it, widen it, weld it, and then fill it with that. Because that's, I can't think of a reason why that would not fit proper. In this way, hey, trust me, I can mess up a panel with the best of them. Down here, it's a little iffy, but that for me, I think this panel's got a bunch of filler in it and stuff, so I think that's the problem with that. But this section right here, that's just not the same as the other side, so we'll have to measure the other panel. I guess instead of splitting it, we could just add in here, which would be kind of ugly, for sure. Which is unfortunate, because actually the rest of it fits pretty good. That's a pretty good gap, as far as I'm concerned. The door has to go forward just a little bit at the bottom, but that's pretty doggone decent. Like I said, we're lined up. The window does its thing. There's room for its little rubber, so that's fine. Up in here, it's pretty nice. I gotta whack that down and weld it, and then that just gets filled with some seam sealer. This, I think, would be easy to fill. This is funny, it's got a bit of a hump here, but I think that's just, again, it drops down. It's such a crevice in there. We can weld that, no problem. That I'm happy with. This is just a little high, but honestly, I think a little zip cut in there will fix that, or I might be able to just put a clamp on it. I think the glass will fit fine. That'll be covered. Yeah, so the back of this panel is not super stoked on that. I think what I'm gonna do here, we'll grab the other panel from outside right quick, and we'll just measure and see what it looks like, because I don't want to cut this one off if that's the case. I didn't even think to measure it. I've never had to do that before in my life, but it is straight different. So yes. You know what? I'll probably, if I zip it right on the edge and just kind of work it over, tack it, then just fill that strip in is probably the way to fix that. But we'll leave that for now, and I want to measure this real quick, and that's where we're going to end the video. On a big old fail.
Did I offend you with that comment?
I'm just not in a great mood. So I pulled out the other quarter panel just to kind of size it up, and this one at the back we're just on 3 inches, and if, like, we're just going from the inside to the, and it just gets bigger. So the smallest it ever is 3 inches, and it kind of goes up to about 4 at the end, which if you look at this one, it's kind of hard to tell because of the body line, but we're basically, I'd say, about 3 inches, and then sure, you know, well, that being said, it's 3 1/4 about there, and that's, yeah, probably close. This has filler on it because it's double lap, so that one's pretty close. Meanwhile, if we go to this side, at the very edge, like we're 2 7/8, something like that. That was 3 1/4 is where it started, or 3 1/8. So they're, you know, and then we don't get, we're still not at, this is craziness. Like, look at this. So we get on here, like we're just following this kind of line. We're under 3 inches, so 2 3/4, 2 7/8, till about there before we hit 3 inches. So that's a bummer, because honestly, this side could have got away with a skin. And it would have been probably, I would have the tubs and all that, but I could have skinned it right there and just bodywork this section. I guess it is what it is. I'll have to bodywork this section. Scott's getting a call. Talk me through it, but ultimately I think I'll probably end up slicing it there, folding it over, filling it in and carrying on. And then, what a bummer. You know, I was just telling Danny, like, you kind of pay a little bit extra to get something decent and you end up kind of unhappy. But such is life. At least it looks like a car. I mean, it looks like a ill-fitting car, but that's all. We can touch that up down the road. So I'm gonna order, I think, a tail pan for it. It's actually like $119 on Summit, and it was 50 bucks a ship, so that's actually super reasonable. Because this is all full of filler, so I think I might go ahead and replace that pan while we're at it. What's one more panel? This is turning into the Nomad. It's only gonna have this, the roof. Is that all the sheet metal that I'm keeping? Everything else will be bought. Wow. Oh, it really just kind of hit me in a hurry there. Whatever, it's way she goes. Nice little winter project. But the panel does fit good. It's centered. The wheel tubs are nice. It feels good. It fits good up against the rocker. Oh, the rockers I'm going to patch. So we'll keep the front rockers and the roof skin. Wow. Anyways, that's going to leave it. I'm super frustrated. Not just because I have to fix it, which, you know, when you buy the proper panel, you think you can avoid stuff like that. I wasn't expecting it to be perfect, but I thought it wouldn't be completely different side to side. This right here, this is a good video for more schmoo, but this is what will cause an amateur to get frustrated and lose their mind. Because now you've bought all the right parts and nothing fits and you're upset. Quality control. Anyway, that's where I'm leaving it. Thanks so much for watching. If you have some good advice, please let me know. That being said, I've probably already started on this side. based on the old video schedule. And I'll see ya on the next one. Subscribe below. Did I say that yet? Comment, all those things. I'm burnt out.
I think you could use a piece of Ferrero.
Danny made
cheesecake.
Ferrero Rocher cheesecake, so I am going to eat 2 of those.
That's my boy.
And then go to bed. See you tomorrow.
Do you want me just to kick it?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
I almost fell over.